Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Getting Stoned. Yes, so happy to have you here. I appreciate you. To anyone who's out there in the universe giving this a listen, I just want you to know that I'm grateful. So thank you for lending your listening ear. Yes, well, we got ourselves another day to live and love, and that's certainly something to be grateful for. Yes, indeed. And I hope all y'all feeling those blessings in your heart and soul, and I hope you're vibing high. Yeah, you're getting stoned on life. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, the birds and the bees, the trees, the rivers and the lakes, the mountains, the ocean, the grasses, the soil, the sunshine, the raindrops, the moonbeams. Yes, the fact that the blood and the muscles and the bones of our bodies, they support us and they sustain us and they allow us to move and to think and to breathe and to laugh and to cry. The miracles are everywhere. Yes, and even in the midst of the suffering, we can see the joy, the blessings, the miracles. Yes. Yes, ironically, so much of the suffering, yes, we bring upon ourselves. If you think about it, there really is no reason to quarrel with one another, to make war. It's all in our mind. All these divisions that we create, they're just figments of our mind. They are not real. They are, in fact, a lie. And so, in failing to see that, we perpetuate the suffering. We take up arms against our brothers and sisters. We come up with all kinds of reasons to justify our choices, none of which in the end make any kind of sense. Yes, there's no sense making happening. There's just the monkey mind running amok, getting caught up in fear, and hatred, anxiety, and perpetuating the suffering. Yes, I suppose that's the only way we could learn the lessons that we've come here to learn. Right? I mean, if everything was hunky-dory, if everybody got along, if everyone looked out for one another, if there was no war making, could we create peace? Some food for thought. Yeah. Leela, this is just Leela. This is the grand illusion, y'all. Yeah. It sure is fun, huh? Yeah, it's a trip, all right. So, despite these bigger points of view that I sometimes bring up around here and tend to ramble about, it's important not to lose sight of the joy of each moment. That's why I say, good vibes, appreciate, feel grateful. We never know when our last breath is going to come, so it's important to honor the blessings of the moment. And if we are fortunate enough to have a roof over our head and plenty of food on our table and lots of love in our life, then why not share some of that good vibes? Why not share some of the good fortune with others who may not be so fortunate? Yeah. And remember, y'all, don't fall prey to the propaganda. Don't fall prey to the programming. There's lots of forces out there that want to work to control and manipulate. Be wise to their game. Shine your love light wherever you go. That always extinguishes the darkness. It creates a force field, if you will, that these dark energies can't penetrate. But you've got to cultivate that for yourself. You got to cultivate your inner love light so you don't fall prey to these kinds of twisted energies, which are also all part of the game that's being played here. You know what I'm saying? It's all part of the trip. It's just a good idea if you can be hip to it. And then that way, you surf this wave of life with your own style and your own grace. And you don't get pushed around and knocked off your surfboard by people who got some kind of distorted, corrupted, confused agenda. And that's part of the thing about the human being is we can be a light of love just as much as we can be a force of darkness. So we got both of those sides of us, the shadow and the light. So to deny that that's part of what we are, each of those elements are part of the equation. That's why you gotta put your mind to work and be discerning and discriminate with your thought process. And then once you come to a realization that we all just waves in the ocean, you won't trip up so much. Yes. So sending out a big hug to all y'all. And I want you to know how much I appreciate you, how much I love you, how much of just this precious soul you are. You are the light. You are the light. Come on now, say it with me now. You are the light. How about this? How about this? Repeat after me. I am the light. Let's do it another time. I am the light. One more time. I am the light. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna read today from one of my favorite books. It's gonna be a little bit of a read, it might take a few minutes here, but it's just such an amazing book, and I want to share this little chapter with y'all. I hope you dig it. It's a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I think I'm saying that last name right there, brother. I hope I didn't say it wrong, brother. If I did, my apologies to you. This book is it's a gem. If you haven't read it, head over to your library, get a copy, sit down on the couch or in your rocking chair and read that. It's just it's an all-time classic. The Alchemist. All right, let's hop into it here. We're gonna kind of drift into this world of dreams and magic and wonder. I'm the king of Salem, the old man had said. Why would a king be talking with a shepherd? The boy asked, awed and embarrassed. For several reasons, but let's say that the most important is that you have succeeded in discovering your personal legend. The boy didn't know what a person's personal legend was. It's what you have always wanted to accomplish. Everyone, when they are young, knows what their personal legend is. At that point in their lives, everything is clear and everything is possible. They are not afraid to dream and to yearn for everything they would like to see happen to them in their lives. But as time passes, a mysterious force begins to convince them that it will be impossible for them to realize their personal legend. None of what the old man was saying made much sense to the boy, but he wanted to know what the mysterious force was. The merchant's daughter would be impressed when he told her about that. It's a force that appears to be negative, but actually shows you how to realize your personal legend. It prepares your spirit and your will, because there is one great truth on this planet. Whoever you are, or whatever it is that you do, when you really want something, it's because that desire originated in the soul of the universe. It's your mission on Earth. Even when all you want to do is travel or marry the daughter of a textile merchant? Yes, or even search for a treasure. The soul of the world is nourished by people's happiness and also by unhappiness, envy, and jealousy. To realize one's personal legend is a person's only real obligation. all things are one. And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. They were both silent for a time, observing the plaza and the townspeople. It was the old man who spoke first. Why do you tend a flock of sheep? Because I like to travel. The old man pointed to a baker standing in his shop window at the corner of the plaza. When he was a child, that man wanted to travel too, but he decided first to buy his bakery and put some money aside. When he's an old man, he's going to spend a month in Africa. He never realized that people are capable at any time in their lives of doing what they dream of. He should have decided to become a shepherd, the boy said. Well, he thought about that, the old man said. But bakers are more important people than shepherds. Bakers have homes, while shepherds sleep out in the open. Parents would rather see their children marry bakers than shepherds. The boy felt a pang in his heart, thinking about the merchant's daughter. There was surely a baker in her town. The old man continued, in the long run, what people think about shepherds and bakers becomes more important for them than their own personal legends. The old man leafed through the book and fell to reading a page he came to. The boy waited, and then interrupted the old man just as he himself had been interrupted. Why are you telling me this? Because you are trying to realize your personal legend, and you are at the point where you're about to give it all up. And that's when you always appear on the scene? Not always in this way, but I always appear in one form or another. Sometimes I appear in the form of a solution or good idea. At other times, at a crucial moment, I make it easier for things to happen. There are other things I do too, but most of the time people don't realize I've done them. The old man related that the week before he had been forced to appear before a miner and had taken the form of a stone. The miner had abandoned everything to go mining for emeralds. For 5 years he had been working a certain river and had examined hundreds of thousands of stones looking for an emerald. The miner was about to give it all up, right at the point when, if he were to examine just one more stone, just one more, he would find his emerald. Since the miner had sacrificed everything to his personal legend, the old man decided to become involved. He transformed himself into a stone that rolled up to the miner's foot. The miner, with all the anger and frustration of his 5 fruitless years, picked up the stone and threw it aside. But he had thrown it with such force that it broke the stone it fell upon, and there, embedded in the broken stone, was the most beautiful emerald in the world. People learn early in their lives what is their reason for being, said the old man, with a certain bitterness. Maybe that's why they give up on it so early too. But that's the way it is. The boy reminded the old man that he had said something about hidden treasure. Treasure is uncovered by the force of flowing water and is buried by the same currents, said the old man. If you want to learn about your own treasure, you will have to give me 1/10 of your flock. What about 1/10 of my treasure? The boy said. The old man looked disappointed. If you start out by promising what you don't even have yet, you'll lose your desire to work toward getting it. The boy told him that he had already promised to give 1/10 of his treasure to the gypsy. Gypsies are experts at getting people to do that, sighed the old man. In any case, it's good that you've learned that everything in life has its price. This is what the warriors of the light try to teach. The old man returned the book to the boy. Tomorrow, at this same time, bring me 1/10 of your flock, and I will tell you how to find the hidden treasure. Good afternoon. And the old man vanished around the corner of the plaza. The boy began again to read his book, but he was no longer able to concentrate. He was tense and upset because he knew that the old man was right. He went over to the bakery and bought a loaf of bread, thinking about whether or not he should tell the baker what the old man had said about him. Sometimes it's better to leave things as they are, he thought to himself, and decided to say nothing. If he were to say anything, the baker would spend 3 days thinking about giving it all up, even though he had gotten used to the way things were. The boy could certainly resist causing that kind of anxiety for the baker, so he began to wander through the city and found himself at the gates. There was a small building there with a window at which people bought tickets to Africa, and he knew that Egypt was in Africa. "Can I help you?" asked the man behind the window. "Maybe tomorrow," said the boy, moving away. If he sold just one of his sheep, he'd have enough to go to get to the other shore of the strait. The idea frightened him. "Another dreamer," said the ticket seller to his assistant, watching the boy walk away. "He doesn't have enough money to travel." While standing at the ticket window, the boy had remembered his flock and decided he should go back to being a shepherd. In 2 years, he had learned everything about shepherding. He knew how to shear sheep, how to care for pregnant ewes, how to protect the sheep from wolves. He knew all the fields and pastures of Andalusia, and he knew what was the fair price for every one of his animals. He decided to return to his friend's stable by the longest route possible. As he walked past the city's castle, he interrupted his return and climbed the stone ramp that led to the top of the wall. From there, he could see Africa in the distance. Someone had once told him that it was from there that the Moors had come to occupy all of Spain. He could see almost the entire city from where he sat, including the plaza where he had talked to the old man. Curse the moment I met that old man, he thought. He had come to the town only to find a woman who can interpret his dream. Neither the woman nor the old man were at all impressed by the fact that he was a shepherd. They were solitary individuals who no longer believe in things and didn't understand that shepherds become attached to their sheep. He knew everything about each member of his flock. He knew which ones were lame, which one was to give birth 2 months from now, and which were the laziest. He knew how to shear them and how to slaughter them. If he ever decided to leave them, they would suffer. The wind began to pick up. He knew that wind. People called it the Levanter, because on it the Moors had come from the Levant at the eastern end of the Mediterranean. The Levanter increased in intensity. Here I am, between my flock and my treasure, the boy thought. He had to choose between something he had become accustomed to and something he wanted to have. There was also the merchant's daughter, but she wasn't as important as his flock because she didn't depend on him. Maybe she didn't even remember him. He was sure that it made no difference to her on which day he appeared. For her, every day was the same. And when each day is the same as the next, it's because people fail to recognize the good things that happen in their lives every day that the sun rises. I left my father, my mother, and the town castle behind. They have gotten used to my being away, and so have I. The sheep will get used to my not being there too, the boy thought. From where he sat, he could observe the plaza. People continued to come and go from the baker's shop. A young couple sat on the bench where he had talked with the old man, and they kissed. That baker, he said to himself, without completing the thought. The Levanter was still getting stronger, and he felt its force on his face. That wind had brought the Moors, yes, but it had also brought the smell of the desert and of veiled women. It had brought with it the sweet and the dreams of men who had once left to search for the unknown, and for gold and adventure, and for pyramids. The boy felt jealous of the freedom of the wind and saw that he could have the same freedom. There was nothing to hold him back except himself. The sheep, the merchant's daughter, and the fields of Andalusia were only steps along the way to his personal legend. The next day, the boy met the old man at noon. He brought 6 sheep with him. "I'm surprised," the boy said. "My friend bought all of the other sheep immediately. He said that he had always dreamed of being a shepherd and that it was a good omen." "That's the way it always is," said the old man. "It's called the principle of favorability. When you play cards the first time, you are almost sure to win. Beginner's luck." "Why is that?" "Because there is a force that wants you to realize your personal legend. It whets your appetite with a taste of success." Then the old man began to inspect the sheep, and he saw that one was lame. The boy explained that it wasn't important, since that sheep was the most intelligent of the flock and produced the most wool. "Where is the treasure?" he asked. "It's in Egypt, near the pyramids." The boy was startled. The old woman had said the same thing, but she hadn't charged him anything. "In order to find the treasure, you will have to follow the omens. God has prepared a path for everyone to follow. You just have to read the omens that he left for you." Before the boy could reply, a butterfly appeared and fluttered between him and the old man. He remembered something his grandfather had once told him, that butterflies were a good omen, like crickets, and like expectations, like lizards and four-leaf clovers. "That's right," said the old man, able to read the boy's thoughts. "Just as your grandfather taught you, these are good omens." The old man opened his cape, and the boy was struck by what he saw. The old man wore a breastplate of heavy gold, covered with precious stones. The boy recalled the brilliance he had noticed on the previous day. "He really is a king. He must be disguised to avoid encounters with thieves." "Take these," said the old man, holding out a white stone and a black stone that he had been embedded at the center of the breastplate. "They are called Urim and Thummim. The black signifies yes, and the white no. When you are unable to read the omens, they will help you to do so. Always ask an objective question. But if you can, try to make your own decisions. The treasure is at the pyramids. That you already knew. But I had to insist on the payment of 6 sheep because I helped you to make your decision." The boy put the stones in his pouch. From then on, he would make his own decisions. Don't forget that everything you deal with is only one thing and nothing else. And don't forget the language of omens. And above all, don't forget to follow your personal legend through to its conclusion. But before I go, I want to tell you a little story. A certain shopkeeper sent his son to learn about the secret of happiness from the wisest man in the world. The lad wandered through the desert for 40 days and finally came upon a beautiful castle high atop a mountain. It was there that the wise man lived. Rather than finding a saintly man, though, our hero, on entering the main room of the castle, saw a hive of activity. Tradesmen came and went. People were conversing in the corners. A small orchestra was playing soft music, and there was a table covered with platters of the most delicious food in that part of the world. The wise man conversed with everyone, and the boy had to wait for 2 hours before it was his turn to be given the man's attention. The wise man listened attentively to the boy's explanation of why he had come, but told him that he didn't have time just then to explain the secret of happiness. He suggested that the boy look around the palace and return in 2 hours. Meanwhile, I want to ask you to do something, said the wise man, handing the boy a teaspoon that held 2 drops of oil. As you wander around, carry this spoon with you without allowing the oil to spill. The boy began climbing and descending the many stairways of the palace, keeping his eyes fixed on the spoon. After 2 hours, he returned to the room where the wise man was. "Well," asked the wise man, "did you see the Persian tapestries that are hanging in my dining hall? Did you see the garden that it took the master gardener 10 years to create? Did you notice the beautiful parchments in my library?" The boy was embarrassed and confessed that he had observed nothing. His only concern had been not to spill the oil that the wise man had entrusted to him. "Then go back and observe the marvels of my world," said the wise man. "You cannot trust a man if you don't know his house." Relieved, the boy picked up the spoon and returned to his exploration of the palace, this time observing all of the works of art on the ceilings and the walls. He saw the gardens, the mountains all around him, the beauty of the flowers, and the taste with which everything had been selected. Upon returning to the wise man, he related in detail everything he had seen. "But where are the drops of oil I entrusted to you?" asked the wise man. Looking down at the spoon he held, the boy saw that the oil was gone. "Well, there is only one piece of advice I can give you," said the wisest of the wise men. "The secret of happiness is to see all the marvels of the world and never to forget the drops of oil on the spoon." The shepherd said nothing. He had understood the story the old king had told him. A shepherd may like to travel, but he should never forget about his sheep. The old man looked at the boy, and with his hands held together, made several strange gestures over the boy's head. Then, taking his sheep, he walked away. All right. The Alchemist. That was just a little teaser from the beginnings of the book. But you get a little taste, a little flavor of what's going on here with this most illustrious and it's such a powerful and inspiring and vivid and miraculous book. So a big thank you to Paulo Coelho, and he's written a ton of books. I've read several of them. Each of them is beautiful in its own right, but the Alchemist is to my mind his classic, his greatest gift. So, yes, all right. The shepherd and the old king. I hope you enjoyed that, y'all. I hope it was a lot of fun for me to read that out loud like that. It kind of takes me back to my childhood when my parents used to read books out loud, or I'd be sitting in the classroom and each of us would take turns reading. So it's not something that happens too much anymore. So there's something about storytelling in that way it's a lost art almost. So we want to do what we can to keep it alive, keep it vibrating and flourishing, bring that storytelling back to life. All right. So let's do a little tune here, and then we'll send you on your way. How's about that? So this song kind of ties in a little bit to what I was talking about at the beginning of the show. It's some people think it's the greatest pop song ever written, and I wouldn't argue with them. I certainly wouldn't. Depends upon which day you catch me, if I rank it number 1 or 2 or 3, but it's right up there as one of the greatest songs ever. So here we go. I'm gonna do a little version of John Lennon's song called Imagine. Yeah, hope I don't. Yeah, as always, I just gonna do my best. That's all I can do, right? Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below. Above us on the sky. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine there's no country. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion to. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living for today. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. All right. Yes, Mr. John Lennon. Yes. May he rest in peace. Yes, thank you, brother. Thank you, Brother John. An incredible human being. His gifts to the world are priceless. That is for sure. All right. So thank you all so much for stopping by. I appreciate you. I'm sending you a big hug. Come on now, feel that hug, man. It's wrapping you all up. Come on now. Feels good. Thank you for being here, y'all. Until next time, peace.